Alright guys, Cam here, and this is the third episode of my Football Manager series. And today I've got the highlights of 5 games for you. Just before I show you them, I'm going to just show you my new signing that I made just before the end of the transfer window. It's Andreas Cornelius. He's a young striker, he's Danish. Bought him from FC Copenhagen, I believe, for about 1 or 2 million. But already you can see his value's up to 3 million. So that's a pretty good purchase, and he has a really good potential. I think it's 4-star, so that's exactly what we were looking for in the striker department. Hopefully he can progress into the first team this season. But now into the games. So now we're going to talk about the midweek Champions League games. The first match is between Celtic and Juventus, with the first leg being at Parkhead. The biggest news for this tie is that Pirlo may be injured. And while Juventus don't normally lack any ability in centre midfield, Marchisio may also be out, and Asamoah might not be back from the African Cup of Nations, so this is a big hit for them. Paul Pogba is on really good form though, and should be able to control the midfield for Juventus. Juventus shouldn't feel any threat from Celtic's attack though, while Huber is on form for them. The Scottish League is very different from any other league, and he will really struggle against Barzagli, Chiellini and Bonucci. I can't imagine them having many chances. If Celtic are going to get any goals, they're really going to have to catch Juventus on the break. But I imagine in both ties for Juventus to have most of the possession and most of the chances. Juventus play a 3-5-2 formation, which will be alien to Celtic, as most of the Scottish teams will play 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, some kind of variation like that. So some of the players might find it difficult to match up against the 3-5-2. Talking about Huber before though, he'll really want to have a good game, as he wants to impress so that he can get an England call-up. So while he's playing well in the Scottish League, if he can get a good game against Juventus, that'll really show Roy Hodgson that he is ready for an England call-up. Lots of people in Scotland believe that he is, but so far Roy Hodgson has looked over him. But this is his chance in the Champions League to prove himself and maybe win that place. Celtic are going to need to work really hard in this tie and make sure they don't concede. If they don't concede, then they can build from that. They definitely can't concede in the game on Tuesday at Parkhead, otherwise that'll be a disaster. I can't imagine going to Turin and being able to turn around any deficit. So I can only see Juventus winning this tie, even after Celtic's heroics against Barcelona. I'll probably say 2-0 to Juventus for this leg. The other game on Tuesday is Valencia versus PSG. Both teams have come off good wins at the weekend. Valencia winning 1-0 against Celta Vigo, and PSG winning 3-1 against Bastia. PSG did actually attempt to rest some of their players for this game. Ibra and Lavezzi were on the bench, but as the game got on and it was still 1-1, they had to come on and try and change the game, and they both did, as both of them scored. PSG are on good form though. They've finally gone top of the French league and are trying to push on to make sure that they can get their first title in a while. They definitely should with the depth in their squad, and they should be targeting the Champions League as a possibility. They may be dark horses. They have lots of strong players. Whether their squad is big enough and good enough, though, is a different question. Valencia will be a difficult tie for PSG. While they haven't had a great season either, Valencia will be looking to get some joy from this competition. Both teams will see this as a tie that they can win and progress onto. Both teams depend on key players though. PSG really depend on Ibra, and Valencia depend on Ivo Banega, who recently was in trouble with his manager, but he's still being played and he'll be really important for them. Rami will also be really important for Valencia, as he looks to keep out Ibrahimovic, and the rest of PSG's very excellent attacking options. One area that PSG should focus on is attacking down the flanks. João Pereira and Ali Sissoko, in my opinion, are very poor fullbacks, both of them. Just want to get forward too much, especially João Pereira. He lacks the ability to tackle really. If you've seen him play, when he tackles, he just leans into players or dives in. So players like Menez and Lucas and Lavezzi should be looking to exploit the spaces down the wings, and then they can get the ball into Ibra after that. On a side note, I'm not sure that Beckham is in the squad, but Ancelotti has said that he won't be fit until mid-February, so I really doubt, if he was eligible, that he would be in the squad. On Wednesday night, it's Shakhtar versus Dortmund in the Ukraine. For me, Dortmund are dark horses of the competition, and if they work hard, they can possibly get something from the Champions League. Once you're into the semi-finals, anything can happen. So I'd imagine Dortmund will really want to push on in the Champions League after a poor domestic season, and a game against Shakhtar gives them a good chance of this. Shakhtar have lost Willian. It was a big miss for them, and other than that, I'm not sure there's many threats for them, and they will need to work hard because Dortmund play a really hard pressing, attacking style with Lewandowski and Götze and Royce always catching teams on the break and pressing so that any defenders don't have time on the ball. I'm not sure Shakhtar will have enough to combat against this style of play, and I think Dortmund should be able to get through this tie. It would be disappointing if they don't. I can imagine it being a high scoring game though. For a while, Dortmund have very good centre backs in Santana, Hummels and Subotic. The fullbacks both really like to attack in Smeltzer and Piszczek, so there will be spaces for Shakhtar to attack, and they need to make use of this if they're going to get anything from this game. I imagine the game in the Ukraine could be fairly high scoring, maybe a 2-2 or a 2-1 either way, but once they go back to Germany, I can only see Dortmund winning this game. Now the exciting game of the week is Real versus Man U. This is a massive tie, all played around Cristiano Ronaldo coming back to his old club and the Ferguson versus Mourinho battle being reignited. Real have had a really poor season this year. Barcelona have blown them away in the league, and Atletico Madrid are still ahead of them. Something's definitely going wrong as Ronaldo has announced that he's unhappy and Casillas is on really bad form. You can see that there's something not quite right, whether Mourinho's unsettled them or something else, but they are definitely not the team they were last season. And last season was a massive opportunity for them to win the Champions League. But with Mourinho possibly leaving in the summer, this is going to be a really big push. Since the league is out, they're going to be gunning for both cups. Real Madrid fans have been wanting this 10th Champions League win for ages, and they feel this is the season if it's going to happen. So players like Ronaldo and Benzema really need to be on form and making sure they're giving their all to the game. I'm sure both teams will up their game for this one, and the performances of some people will be really good while others may lack. Man U, on the other hand, are in really great form, and from the disappointment of last season not getting any trophies, they will really want them this season. The league looks almost wrapped up for them, so I think they can push on in the Champions League as well. Van Persie and Rooney will have lots of opportunities as Real Madrid are lacking on centre-backs at the moment. Apart from a new player, Varane, he's French. He was really stand out against the game against Barcelona, and I'm hoping that he'll play because I haven't been able to see him play much. But if he can play with Ramos, that's a much stronger defence than they've had in previous weeks. Man U did play a strong team though against Everton. They did play both Rooney and Van Persie. The only player really rested was Carrick, who I expect to be played again on Wednesday. Carrick is a really important player for Man U and sometimes gets underestimated, but when I see him play, he's always fantastic and he rarely has a bad game. It was a good win though against Everton, 2-0, and Real Madrid destroyed Sevilla this weekend as well. So both teams have come off the back of good wins. If Real are going to progress, they really need to be tight at the back, and in this first leg at home, they ideally would be able to keep a clean sheet, because I can imagine they'll be able to get a goal at Old Trafford. Man U will also be thinking this though, and will really want an away goal, as that will set them nicely, even if they lose the first leg. I think in this tie the home games will be key. I could imagine both teams winning their home legs, but by how much will make the difference. This is definitely the tie to watch of the round. Barcelona AC Milan also has an interesting look to it, but the fact about Ronaldo coming back to Man U, this makes this definitely the biggest tie of the round. and definitely the one you should be watching on the telly. I can see Man U progressing from this though. They will work much harder than this Real Madrid team, which seem to have poor morale, and Ferguson will not let them lose. He will do everything he can to help them win, and with the return of players like Vidic and Evans in the defence, they are so much stronger than they were a couple of weeks ago. So I definitely see this as a Man U getting through, which is really disappointing, as I would quite like to see Real lift that 10th Champions League trophy. All the ties are fairly exciting this week, and I've given you a quick preview on what might happen, but you'll definitely have to watch them to see what really happens. So that's the end of the real life football talk. In the background is just the highlights from the first few games that I've played since the 3-11 victory against Sunderland. There's some good wins in here, and now I'm going to talk through the match stats. So I'm going to show you the match stats for the games I've just shown you the highlights of. First of all is the first leg of the Euro Cup playoff against Motherwell. Obertan and Cisse got those goals. I'd like to point out the possession stats in all of these games. I'm trying to play a tactic where I like to keep the ball with Newcastle and be patient on the ball and slowly progress forward. So have a look at some of the possession stats. In the next game against Stoke, it was 0-0. Wasn't a very exciting game. Debuchy got man of the match in this game with a 7.4, so that tells you everything you need to know about it. Not many shots, not many on target. Actually, Newcastle got a few, but we weren't clinical enough. Maybe should have won that game at St James's Park. And then it was the second leg against Motherwell, already 2-0 up, taking it back to St James's Park, and we managed to get a massive 4-0 win. Obertan, Vukic getting 2, and Haidara getting the goals. Obertan with a man of the match with a 9.3, and a really good game. And you can see the possession stat there again, 58 to 42, big difference. And next was the game against Reading. This was a difficult game. I went in front with Ben Arthur, then Noel Hunt pulled it back for Reading, but then Marvo got the winner. Ben Arthur did actually get injured. I think he's out for 3 months, which obviously really isn't good for Newcastle. Plenty of shots for Reading, just not clinical enough compared to Newcastle. Then the last game was against Wigan. Menez and Cisse were the goals. Quite a few bookings in this game actually. But again, if you look at the possession stats, 60 to 40 is really good against Wigan, who like to keep the ball themselves. So I'm impressed that I can see the tactics working on that front. Also pleased with Cisse. He has quite a few goals this season. In previous seasons I've played with him, he's been a bit difficult to get going because he always struggles with the language barrier and blending in with the team, which might actually be a problem in real life. But so far it's been good in this season. So I'm happy with those games. 4 wins and a draw. Maybe should have got the win against Stoke at home. But so far I'll take that because we'll be high up the league. So thanks.